So let's talk about some of the tools that we've got, because there's a bazillion pair programming tools. So let's take a look at a few of them. So if you use the Atom editor, there's a plugin, Atom Pair, that allows pair programming. I don't use Atom, so I haven't used this plugin, but it looks fairly straightforward. Integrates with Slack or HipChat. So, but you...
Now, is this I haven't even looked at this. Is this a remote tool?
Yeah, it basically kind of allows you to share control of the Atom
right
thing, text editor.
Yep.
So, but you have to go through and give a session ID and get them connected and all that stuff. Okay. So
I'm assuming there's no video.
No, I haven't found one.
It's probably just trying to share the IDE essentially.
Essentially, yes. Same kind of thing for Sublime, which I use Sublime. So again, I have not used this plugin because I don't need it. And we'll get down to that later. I use Sublime and I use it for my pair programming, but I don't use this. But there is a plugin, Remote Collab, for Sublime. And apparently it works really well. You can see it hasn't been modified for 7 years, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, you know, if it works, it works. Then there's Tuple, which is the big thing, but it's only for Mac. So I haven't used it because it's only for Mac, but a lot of people like this.
They're also releasing a Linux. They're working and will be releasing a Linux at some point. Oh, as I say that. All right.
Yeah.
Forgive me. The screen's a little small for me on the stream.
Now this one isn't free. $25 a user a month. What I've heard is it's worth it. Right? People don't feel cheated by that price, so that's fine. There's Code Anywhere, which is just a cloud-based IDE. So there's a lot of things like this that are kind of cloud-based IDE. So there's that one. There's Code Sandbox Live. Code Share, I think, is a one like that. And Code Envy is kind of like that, but it's a open source freeware thingy, as far as I could tell. So anyway, there's a lot of online ones. Now, I've used a few of these, kind of played around with them to try to implement the pair programming. And what ends up happening for me every single time is I just go back to screen sharing on Zoom or Google Meet or whichever communication tool we're using. Because every time I pair program with those and I screen share and I give remote control, I don't really see what else I need to pair program remotely. So I'm missing the point of these tools. I'm missing what else they're bringing to the table that I really need for pair programming. Not to mention the fact that either I have to pay for them or there's setup involved. I have to get your IP address and you have to get some code from me. You have to, it's just more difficult. And for what? So I don't get it. Maybe somebody can explain that to me.
Well, my thought is with Zoom, you each have your own copy of the code. And yes, why are you shaking your head?
Because I can give you remote control of my code and let you drive.
Oh, so Zoom, you can give me the ability to
type on my machine.
Look at your screen and type in. Okay, well, yep. I didn't know that.
That's why I don't get the point here. I'm not understanding.
How long have they been able to? I don't even know. How long have they been able to
quite a while.
Okay.
I mean, since before COVID, at least, because we would for years actually, because we used Zoom for 2 or 3 years prior to that to do remote support stuff. And we would take over people's machines and drive. And,
Okay.
you know, Google Meet does that. Microsoft Teams does that. So and plus you have the video chat right there built into it. It's all in one place. So I'm really confused as to the point of these things, how they
still exist.
Well, I mean, obviously people are using them and liking them for some reason. I have not been able on my own to figure out what this buys me over just screen sharing that is worth the extra price or hassle. You know, because between that and GitHub, I don't need, because we can do code reviews in GitHub live. Now, to be fair, my much preferred way of pair programming is live in a room with a whiteboard. The whiteboards are indispensable for, well, not indispensable because COVID, but whiteboards are a huge boon for pair programming when two of you are in a room and one of you is typing and the other one can be drawing things on a whiteboard. We did that all the time, and oh my gosh, we were able to just pound through stuff really fast. So if these give you some kind of whiteboard capability, that's something, but I haven't found any that look like they do that. Now, one of the other things I use is what's it called?
Did you say AnyDesk?
Yeah, AnyDesk. AnyDesk actually has, that's like a remote login thing, like PC Anywhere or something, but AnyDesk has a whiteboard functionality in it. So I can actually turn my whiteboard on and draw on your screen. Like,
but I mean, literally, if you have Zoom, I hate to say it, but if you have Zoom, you can open up a paint program. You could open up any sort of graphical tool and just do it there.
Exactly. You see my point. I don't get these tools. I just don't. And there's more than just these. So somebody's using them for something, because there's a lot of them. I mean, Tuple is not, it's not like Tuple is a 80-year-old program that just is hanging out there. They're still developing stuff. People are buying it, you know, paying for it and stuff. And I'm hearing lots of great things about it. But I just haven't so far found anything in any of these tools that really have sold me on how they help pair programming. So, I mean, my thing for now is, unless you have some specific reason to do something else, just screen share with Zoom or your chat app of choice, whatever your company's using, because they all have screen shares just about with remote control. At least all the big ones that I've run across do.
Yeah.
So I just, or even better, take your laptop and meet at the park downtown or something and just sit with your buddy and pair program. I mean, you know, there's no reason to make it terribly complicated. The code is complicated enough. You don't want to put barriers in front of the pair programming, because if somebody isn't really sold on it and then you make it complicated, they're like, no, I don't want to put that much effort into it. You know, I could get somebody to sit down and, hey, let's get on a chat and just look at my screen and let's talk about some code. Fine. Oh, but let's get a Look, give me your IP address. Okay, go look up your your external IP address so that I can connect to this thing, and then you can do this, and then here's the button to do this whiteboard, and here's the button to do this thing. Nobody's going to want to do that. I mean, okay, look. I'm ranting, but as long as I've been doing pair programming, I do not get these tools. And maybe I'm just an old fart, but I don't find a value here. I'm getting myself all worked up the more I talk about it, actually.
Well, I mean, I'm sure each of them have their place. Like, for example, if you have free ones that allow the collabs, that is something you can do for free, but you have inconvenience of working with it.
Yeah.
Some of those, you have your editor, that your go anywhere editor. I can see being able to collaborate, that way. There's benefits to that, but you're still going to probably need something to share screen or whatnot. But then the premium offerings is presumably in some way, it gives you some level, maybe it's this much, maybe it's this much, some level of convenience improvement versus Zoom, I assume.
Well, I mean, I would assume that all of them give you something or they wouldn't exist. I'm just, what I'm questioning is that something worth anything really? Or is it just glossy brochure, smoke and mirrors?
Well, I mean, then try it.
Well, I have, and
I'm
that's
not
what I'm
saying you try it, but I'm not saying you
Right.
try it, but I say if someone is evaluating, you get started with Zoom, and then you could try out these tools.
Right. And that's why I wanted to kind of go through them is, to let people know there are tools out there, and maybe that's your thing. I had a boss that loved overly complicated CMRs or CRMs.
I know. What's the CMR? Okay, CRMs.
CRMs. He wanted all the bells and whistles and stuff. And we'd have CRMs that just did way more than we ever needed to do, and we could have made things so much simpler. But he just liked having all the bells and whistles and reports and different ways to look at it and data slicing and dicing and all this stuff because that's what he liked. And that's fine. If doing this, code sandboxes in the cloud, distributed stuff is your cup of tea, knock yourself out. But from just a pair programming benefits analysis, I've never found a reason for these. I would be interested, though, in the comments in hearing what your reasons are for using these, because somebody's using them. And I would like to understand why.
Yeah. So, I mean, it basically, start using Zoom, and you can try out these tools if you're other tools and find out what works for you.
Right. And that's really the thing with pair programming. What works for you? There is no one way to do it. There's no best way to do it. But I do think everybody should at least try pair programming at some point to see how it works for them. Whether you think you're going to like it or not, at least try it. Just like I tell my kids, hey, look, you at least got to try the food before you tell me you don't like it, right? I know broccoli looks disgusting, but at least eat it once.
If you like this clip and want to watch another one, you can click right here. Or if you want to watch the full video, you can click here.